Tripp Pioneer Cemetery, located in Harlem Township in rural Winnebago County, Illinois, was first established in 1842 when farmer Jonas Tofflemire set aside an acre of his farm to bury his wife's uncle, David Anderson. Using the cemetery as a reference, as well as a starting point, historian Kathi Kresol of Haunted Rockford tells of the Tofflemire and Tripp families and their neighbors, early pioneers and settlers in Winnebago County. Welcome to an audio version of an original article by Kathi Kresol, historian and operator of Haunted Rockford Paranormal Events, Rockford, Illinois. This audio presentation is entitled Tripp Pioneer Cemetery, Family Histories. It is an audio version of a 2017 original story by Kathi. This audio article is produced by Thomas Saunders for Haunted Rockford. Copyright 2025.
Driving the narrow back roads of Winnebago County, Illinois in search of small cemeteries is like taking a trip back through time. It doesn't take much to imagine the way the area appeared 100 years ago. Though some of these cemeteries have been lost to time, Winnebago County has a dedicated group of people who have searched out these obscure graveyards. They have found the locations, cleaned them up, and rescued the few remaining tombstones. The Tripp Pioneer Cemetery is one of these fortunate locations. It lies along Paulson Road, part of which is now known as Paladin Highway, in Harlem Township between Harlem Road and Orth Road. Though 26 to 29 names are listed in the records for this cemetery, only a few headstones remain. These have been gathered and placed inside a fence to help protect them. The land for the cemetery was given by a man named Jonas Tofflemire. Jonas donated an acre of his farm for the cemetery in 1842 when David Anderson died. David was an uncle to Jonas's wife, Sally Sessions. Jonas and his brother John had a very interesting history even before arriving in Winnebago County in 1839. Their parents were Henry and Judith Fox Tofflemire. Henry fought during the Revolution. He was captured by Native Americans in Kentucky at Ruddle's Fort and forced to march to Detroit. In 1790, he was given a land grant at Grosse Isle, Canada, by King George III for his service to the crown. Henry died prematurely at age of 34 years old, leaving his wife to raise their two young sons. Jonas and John were both born in Canada and came together to Winnebago County. Jonas purchased 160 acres of farmland in Harlem Township. John's history was a little harder to trace. He was born in 1794 or 1796 by some records. He married Mary Stewart and had 5 children. John died in 1851 and was buried in the Tripp Cemetery. Jonas was better known in the township and his records were easier to obtain. Jonas was born on September 14th, 1796. He was trained as a blacksmith but also worked in carpentry. In fact, he would build the caskets of some of his neighbors interred at the cemetery. Jonas was fascinated by astronomy and spent many hours stargazing in his backyard. He used his artistic skills to construct a model of planets and their orbits. Jonas became so well known for this hobby that several professors visited him on the farm. Jonas married Sally Sessions, the daughter of Samuel and Sarah Anderson, who also moved to Winnebago County. Jonas and Sally would raise 11 children. Their house and farm still sit on Paulson Road. Jonas lost Sally when she died in 1854, but hopefully it brought him comfort to have her laid to rest on the corner of their property next to her parents and their children who had died so young. Jonas passed away on March 24, 1879. Sally's father, Samuel, came to Winnebago County around the same time as the Tofflemire brothers. He bought the property next to theirs and began to farm. Sally's mother, Jane, was blind, and when Samuel died in 1872, Sally and Jonas's son, Samuel Findley, moved to the Sessions land to farm the land and care for his grandmother. Samuel married Salome Celia Tripp on March 4th, 1850. Samuel was considered a very progressive farmer who experimented to improve his crops. Both Salome and Samuel are buried in the small cemetery next to their families. The tallest headstone in Tripp Cemetery bears the name of Horace Dyer. Horace was born in 1817 in New York and traveled to Winnebago County in 1836 with his parents James and Susan. Horace was married to Clarissa Tripp on December 14, 1845. In 1847, he bought land in Harlem Township, but felt the tug of adventure in 1848. When the news of the California gold rush spread throughout the land, he stayed in California for 3 years before returning to the farm. Horace and Clarissa had 5 children, though I'm not sure why the cemetery was eventually named the Tripp Cemetery instead of the Tofflemire Cemetery. There are family members of both families buried there. Noah Tripp came to the area with his wife Sarah, Alan or Alice, in 1846, at least by some accounts. One of their daughters, Salome, would marry Samuel Findley Tofflemire, and their son, John C. Tripp, married Mary E. Tofflemire, daughter to Jonas and Sally. Mary died in 1882 and was buried next to her parents. John married a second wife, Clara, and they had 5 children. They are both buried in Belvidere, Illinois. Sarah Tripp passed away, and Noah married Mary Herron on August 14, 1854. Though there are no records stating where Sarah was buried, both Noah and Mary are interred at Tripp. There are several children who are buried at Tripp Cemetery that show no other relatives listed. Whether their families moved from the area or were just buried in another location is not known. These are Mary Daly, daughter of Jay, and Jay Daly, who died in 1861 at the age of 1 year old. Angus Turner, son of C.W., and A.J. Turner, born in 1862, died September 1st, 1863, and Florence Turner, daughter of C.W. and A.J. Turner, born in 1865 and died September 15, 1868. These little cemeteries that dot Winnebago County roads are an important link to our county's beginnings. Their stories are filled with interesting tidbits of history. It is an honor to walk in the footsteps of not only the people who have rescued these very important landmarks, but also the pioneers who are buried in them.
This is the end of our audio article. Thanks for listening.